Okay, can everyone hear me? If I can just get a thumbs up, fantastic. Fantastic. All right, good on you. Okay, firstly, for those that don't know me, my name is Simon Bowden, and thank you very much for the special intro just before. But I'm here as a guest of Bistec Global, and I certainly feel very privileged to be with you today to give you some insight into the marketing world. And we're all part of the Special Hearts Day too. So that's what it's all about. So what is marketing? Marketing is not necessarily what you think it is. Marketing, I believe, is ideas, and we're all got lots of ideas. I've found in the past, I've been doing this now for just on 30 years, and I found in the past when I've been sitting in a boardroom with anything up to 20, 30 directors of businesses, general managers and the like, that often I say to them, please can we invite the receptionist in as well? And they look at me strangely and they say no, because we've got all the business owners, the directors in the boardroom already. And I say no, because the other people of the business are also marketers as well. And they say, but she's the receptionist. And I say, but she's got ideas. She's the one at the front end of the business. She sees things that you don't see. And I want to include her in the meeting. And invariably what actually happens is that particular person supplies or contributes quite a bit to the meeting. Why? Because the directors, the business owners, the general managers, they only see it from one point of view. Often other people within the organisation see it from a different point of view. And that's what marketing is all about. It's coming up with ideas to make the business grow. So if we can go to the next slide, please. I love this. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, which is one of Albert Einstein's famous quotes, which in a marketing term means that if you keep doing the same thing and not getting results, it's basically a waste of time. We are all about change, and what Sobia was talking about earlier is very much pertinent to what I'm talking about. It's all about change. And change is, we go through change every day, every week, every year, and we have to adapt to that change. Can we have the next slide, please? So what I'm about to take you through is, you might be sitting there thinking, but I'm not a marketer. I'm not going to know the stuff that you're going to be presenting. It's not about that. It's about opening your eyes. It's about being a participant within the organisation. It's about being a contributor to that organisation. You might be the person that helps out or sits on the front desk, and you're sitting there going, but I'm not the marketing person for the organisation. But really you are, because we all are. We all are part of improving the company to take it forward. So what I'm going to help you with today is giving you some ideas, and it's about how you take those ideas and put them into action. So it's taking those ideas, putting them to management. You might have an amazing idea that you would like to present to management. You might think, oh, it's only a small idea, but you know what? Management may not have thought about it. It may end up being an amazing idea to push the company forward. So what I'm going to hopefully teach you today is things like identify the right type of client for the business, where to find your ideal client, how to engage your ideal client, how to convert a prospect into a high-paying client, how to get them buying from you without pushy selling, and how to smash through your break-even point every month, and how to turn your business into a profit-making machine. Next slide, please. So I want to encourage you to use the chat box during the presentation, and connect also on LinkedIn as well. And by all means, you can with me as well. Feel free to ask questions in the chat box as we move forward. Next slide, please. So for those that don't know me, I'm a master coach with over 25 years experience. I've been running a business now for 30 years. I've run, I think, 7 businesses now. I've sold $1 million products. I've helped grow in excess of 1,000 businesses. I've built 7-figure business myself within 16 months. I love this one. I started my first business at 7 years old, and many people want to ask that question, and I'll probably share it with you. I was the founder of the Water Saver Drought Sign Project in Australia. I'm the author of Be the Boss, an online course, and I was 2016 Hall of Fame recipient for Worldwide Networking and Marketing. I'm passionate about what I do to help my clients succeed. And like I said, what I want to do today is inspire everyone just to think outside the square. Be a contributor to your organisation. I think anyone can be whatever they want to be if they're prepared to put their mind to it. Just a quick one. I want to share this with you because I know I'll get asked. Yes, I did start my business when I was 7 years old. How that started was like any young boy, I wanted a bike. And my mother and father had separated. So I was living with my mother. I had a brother and a sister, and they were younger than me. And mum couldn't afford it. She only had a part-time job, and she was looking after 3 young children. So she said to me, you need to go out and find yourself a part-time job. So I did. I thought about it for a couple of days, and then I put my mind to it, and I came up with my own little flyer, and I had a friend print it for me, and I delivered it around the local area, offering to mow people's lawns. And within days, really, their phone started to ring and people wanted me to come around and do their lawns for them. So what I did is I turned up, I got myself dressed up, and I presented myself at the front door, and I asked them if I could mow their lawns. But I thought about it, and I came up with a really good marketing ploy. In Australia, it's tradition to take the wife out on the weekend for a drive or take her somewhere for a little bit of relaxation. You might take them to the beach, enjoy something, enjoy dinner, enjoy going out and spending time together as husband and wife or with a family. So my marketing ploy back then at 7 years old was, why stay home and do the gardening when I could do that for you, and then you'd give you time to go out and spend time with your wife and your family. And of course, that went off like a hit. Everyone took it up, and I was extremely busy mowing people's lawns. In fact, in I think it was about 1980, I was actually earning, as a 7, 8, 9-year-old, I was actually earning more money than my mum was part-time and on the pension. I finished up giving half of that money to mum to support the family. And for me, moving forward, that was my beginning into a career that I now absolutely love, and it inspires me every day. Next slide, please. So, as a contributor to your organisation, I want to inspire you to think outside the square. So how do we identify our ideal clients? We need to set goals. You know, our previous presenter was talking about setting each other goals, setting ourselves goals. Well, it's all about setting yourself a goal to attract new customers. The marketing team normally sits down and talks about it. The directors normally sit down and talk about it. And it's always, who are they and where do they come from? And how do we attract them? So setting goals is critical to any business. Even though it may seem like a draining task, goal setting can actually motivate you. We often say here in Australia, we're very big in AFL football, that if you don't know where the goals are, how can you kick a goal? So it's very, very, I suppose, pertinent that we know how to set ourselves goals and understand who our customers are, and then how do we attract them. We need to know everything about our customers. You can't just say we have a product or a service that is going to appeal to every single person out there, because that's not true. It's not. Let's think about that for a second. Who's fallen into the trap of thinking everyone is our client? It's not. You might have a product or service that only appeals to a male or a female. It might be age group. It's about where they live, what their annual salary is, what do they like doing, their employment. There is many, many factors in regards to knowing who our ideal customer is. You will not succeed in the marketplace if you don't know who your customers are. Before moving ahead with any plan, it's helpful to develop a buyer persona. A buyer persona is simply a profile of your company's ideal customer. Now, if you don't know who that customer is, delve deep, ask questions. Ask questions in the company. Who are we dealing with? Why are we dealing with these types of people? Next slide, please. A good example, I'd like to share an existing client, well, actually a past client. My brother used to work for a company that, sorry, I'm going to change the example. One of my very favorite customers and long-time clients is a car mechanical repair shop. It's a fairly large one, and they have about 25 staff. And they were looking through their books one day, and they realised that I think it was 89% of their clientele were male. And they came to the realisation that they were missing out on so much of the market. They realised, why aren't we doing female cars? We should be doing female cars as well. So they came to me and they said, what can we do? And I said, well, look, I'll have a bit of a think about it and I'll come back and we can have a chat. So I gave it a week or two, went back, and they said, no, look, it's all right. We've worked it out. We're going to show the females when they come in, when they bring their car in, we're going to show them, we're going to lift the bonnet of the car, and we're going to show them where to put the oil, where to put the water, all of those sorts of things. And I said, no, do not do that. I said, if you're not a car person, you will never ever want to lift the bonnet. I'm not a car person. I never lift the bonnet. I take it to the mechanical repair place or when it's due for a service, and that's the only time the bonnet ever gets lifted. So I said, no, what we'll do is we'll come up with a strategy. And like I said before, it's only thinking about some unique ideas. We come up with a strategy that will encourage females to bring their cars. So I said, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to market it to the men to bring their wives in. What we're going to do is we're going to put a red rose on the front seat of the car. We're going to put a note on that saying, thank you very much for bringing your car in for service today. And I guarantee within months, you will have so many female cars, you won't know what to do with. So what actually, the fellow said, I don't know whether that's going to work or not. I said, you wait and see. Put me to the test. Well, within 3 to 6 months, he had doubled his income in that mechanical shop. Why? Because the females brought their car, the very few females that did bring their cars in, they got a red rose, their car was nice and clean, they just drove it out, and they went to their tennis lessons or their coffee with their girlfriends, and the first thing they said is, hey, guess what? I got a red rose from my mechanical guy. And of course, the other women said, wow, that's pretty cool. I don't get a red rose from mine. I'd love to be able to go to yours. Who do you use? I'll go there. And that's what happened. Because not only was their car fixed, they didn't want to know how it was going to be fixed. All they wanted to know was it was being fixed. And it was cleaned and with a red rose on the front seat with a nice little message saying, thank you very much for bringing your car in. So all it was just a very, very simple idea. It didn't actually cost a lot. It actually added about $600,000 to the bottom line. So a very, very simple idea can actually work wonders for your business. So you need to work where to find your ideal client is determining the best channels to attract your new customers and market directly to them. And that was a great idea of what I've just shared with you now, is a way of marketing to a clientele that wasn't being tapped into. So where do we find our ideal clients? As I said before, you can't market. I've got a little saying. If your dogs don't like your dog food, the marketing doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter because you've got an awful product. You can't market an awful product. But if you believe in your product or your service, it's marketable because it's got your passion behind it. Okay? So we need to, like I said, we need to ideally identify where your clients are coming from. So as an example, if your ideal customer was, and this is to show the differentiation, it could be a 17-year-old female interested in fashion. Where are you going to find that person? You're probably going to find that person on Instagram or TikTok, etc. If you were trying to market to a 60-year-old male accountant, where would you find them? Probably not on Instagram or TikTok. You'd probably find them on LinkedIn, reading publications, or reading a newspaper. Totally different market. Next slide, please. So how do you engage your ideal client? It's all about defining the specific benefits they are seeking. Who's ever heard the saying, build it and they will come? To a certain extent, that is true. However, you can create a product and no one buy it. Because like I said before, it could be a dog food that your dogs don't like. Isn't it better to create a product or service that your client needs? So what I do is I go back the front. I actually talk to customers about problem solving their ideas. It's far better to reach out to an existing customer or to a new customer and offer them a solution. By offering a solution, you pique their interest. because they'll want to know why, number one, you're reaching out to them, and they'll want to know what the solution is. Because if their problem is costing them money, costing them staff, costing them all sorts of things, they'll be wanting to fix it fairly quickly. I've seen instances where problems in businesses have cost them in excess of $1 million a week, and they can't solve it. So we need to define the specific benefits they are seeking. All of the features of my product or service, which one benefits my ideal client the most? That's the one that we market. How do my products and services address the needs of my clients? Which product or service feature is responsible for bringing in the highest number of clients? That's something that most marketers don't think of. And how do I engage and talk to my clients? Another example I'd like to share. This is the one with my brother. He used to work for a client here in Australia that had about 25,000 employees, a massive company in all states, and they deliver foods to restaurants, hotels, venues, etc. every day. So when you go into a hotel and you order off their menu for dinner, chances are those products were supplied by the company that my brother used to work for. Now, as an example, they had been doing business with their clients for years and years and years. My brother said to me he was offered a reward or an incentive of about $5,000 a month if he got past a certain number of sales. And the problem was that he could never ever get there. He set himself goals, he still couldn't achieve it. And he said to me one day at a family barbecue, he said, "Do you think you've got any ideas that you could help me get through that pain point of me getting past because there was a $5,000 reward on offer?" And I said, "Absolutely. I can tell you exactly what it is. You've got to try doing something different. Think about something that you have never done before. Think about something that's going to benefit your client. Think about touching on some services that perhaps will address the needs of some of your clients. There's your answer." And he said to me, "Simon," he said, "I can't think of those things. You've got to tell me what they are." So I told him what they were. I said, rather than just going in, he was an orderer. So he used to drive around and take the orders of all these clients. So he went from client to client to client. He then came back and then he would put his orders in. But he could never ever talk and get extra food items ordered. So I said, all right, what you need to do is go and research the 10 most popular meals during summertime and the 10 most popular meals in wintertime, and go and sit down with the chefs of each one of these venues and reorganize the menu. Number one, it's going to help the client because they're going to get more customers in by having more popular meals. And number two, you're going to be supplying the food items to make those meals. As a result, it was only months later, I think for the next 3 months in a row, he got his $5,000 bonus each month. The general manager of the organisation from Sydney couldn't believe what was going on, thought it was a mistake, and rang him and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I can't tell you because my brother, Simon, has told me I'm not allowed to tell you." So the crux to the story was, yes, he was winning, but they actually brought a manager down from Sydney to sit in the car with him, to follow him around, to find out what he was actually doing. And yes, he was doing a great job. And yes, he would have got his bonus every single month. So what they did is they actually promoted him to a manager, and then they put him into all the state cars all around Australia to teach all the others the same process. So all it was was just thinking outside the square of creating something for the client, not trying to push a product that you may have. What does the client want? Next slide, please. Something I try to teach my clients and other coaches that work with me is a term called dangling the carrot. When I identify a potential client, I don't wait necessarily for the phone to ring. I'm actually proactive, not reactive. So if I see a problem to be solved out there with a company, I go for it myself. It creates thousands of dollars for me by doing it, because I'm using my ideas to create something that's going to help somebody else. And as I said right from the start, I love to inspire and I love to help people. So what is dangling the carrot? I use it all the time. I teach it, and it is gold. If you can master it, master the technique of it, it is gold. So prove to your prospect that you have a desirable information that they need. Solve their problem. Like I said before, it's all about solving the customer's problems. But don't give them the answer. Tell them you've got an answer, but don't tell them what it is. Get them coming back to you. Leave something out of the conversation that requires the prospect to follow up with you. If it's going to solve their problem and create thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for them in a week or a month, they'll want to know. And they will chase you up, trust me, because you have the answer. I've always found dangling the carrot is a positive motivator. The prospect wins by reaching out with a call back to you. And if they do, the carrot is theirs. Next slide. So by dangling the carrot, it might be something simple. I might, as an example, Bistec Global might develop like an online app for a client that could solve production issues. It could solve less mistakes being made. It could be less paperwork, could increase productivity. It could create happier staff. It could create happier clients. Is that worth creating to implement in the business to save money? Increase turnover? It's for you guys to think about. So dangling the carrot is key to being successful. What I do, this is something that I actually do myself. All right. So when things are a little bit tough, this is what I do. I identify 10 prospects I want to talk to, and don't think small. The problem is a lot of business owners think small. Don't think small. Think double and then double it again. People used to say to me, how come I had a client when I had my design studio? I had a client which was Shell Petroleum, one of the biggest companies in Australia. And I only had a staff of 15. We only turned over $2.5 million a year at that time. This is going back about 15 years ago. But yet we had a massive client. And I used to love people asking me that, because all I said was, because I asked them. I actually knocked on the door and I went in and asked them. And they said, how did you do that? And I said, that's what I did. I just went in and asked for them. And they became my client. So don't think small. Don't think that you're only a small company with 15 staff or 115 staff, that you can't manage and look after any company in the world, because there'll be avenues or parts of that business that you can look after. So I identify 10 prospects that I would love as a client. I research those 10 prospects, get to know them really, really well, get to know them from the point of view of who they are, what they do, what their point of difference is, who are their competitors, how many staff have they got, what countries are they in, what's their product line, read their website, see who I know that may know a staff member. I reach out and then make an appointment with all those 10 prospects. Now, on average, I'll receive knockbacks from 5. However, I meet with the other 5 and let them talk about their business. I do not sell to them. I let them talk about their business and what issues they might be dealing with, what problems they're facing. Pre-prepared stories in how you help your clients succeed. So I try to understand what's going on in their business. Now, part of that is, though, out of those 5, if I do all of that work, all of that research, all of that reaching out, listening to them, understanding what they're dealing with, understanding their problems, I'll be guaranteed almost every time to turn 2 of those prospects into high-paying clients. Now, each one of those clients could spend anywhere up to $250,000 with me every year. So the key is, what other marketing is going to give you a 25% return rate? Not too many. But it's about getting to know your customer. I keep saying it and drumming it in. Get to know your customer. Next slide, please. How do you get your prospect buying from you without the pushy sales technique? Pretty straightforward. You remove the pressure of the sale for both you and the prospect. You don't talk about the sale. You're there in front of them talking about their needs and their wants, identifying what their pain points are. You take your time. There's 5 to 8 touch points required in a sale. You will never ever get the sale on the first attempt. The problem is most people give up soon after the first or second attempt. And I'll touch on that in a minute. The key number, this should be number 1, let your prospect do the talking. I guarantee if you let your prospect do all the talking initially, and you just sit and listen and ask a few questions, that your prospect believes that you're listening, and he will actually respect you because he thinks that you've listened to him, rather than sitting there trying to push your product or service, which makes your prospect feel comfortable. Focus on their problems, not your product or service. And being patient is key. After 5 or 8 touch points, I guarantee the sale will be yours. Next slide, please. Actually, we'll jump this one, keep going. Okay, so understanding touch points. What is a touch point? A touch point is when you reach out to a prospective client. Now, it could be via telephone, it could be dropping in, it could be via text message, could be via email. So, like I said before, most people give up when they're in there trying to reach out to new clientele. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. That's it, 2%, almost zero. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact. And 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 10th contact. And interesting, 58% of sales, people never followed up. So 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 10th contact. Why do you think that is? It's because you've taken the time to get to know your client. You've taken the time to understand the needs. You've taken the time to understand what they want and perhaps the issues that are going on in the business, that you've had a genuine interest in wanting to help the person. You don't get that on the first meeting. You don't get it on the second meeting or perhaps the third meeting. You build a rapport over a period of time. You might reach out to them firstly to try to go and meet with them. You then follow up with a telephone call a week later saying, thank you very much. It was great meeting with you. I particularly like, and I think I can probably help you with a few things. Would you mind me dropping in? And there's some information that I'd like to help you with that might be able to fix one of those issues that you mentioned. I'll drop it in one day next week. You then reach out a week later and just ask him, how did you go with that information? I'd be really interested. Did it help solve your problem? Yes, it did. Thank you very much. So it's all about building rapport. You might ring him back 2 weeks later after that and say, look, I'm passing. What's your favorite coffee? I'll buy you coffee and I'll drop in and say hello. And of course, you've been able to help him already. So he's welcoming you to drop in. So that's about the 4th or 5th contact. You keep building those contacts. You keep building the rapport to the point where he reaches out to you and say, well, if you've helped me already, is there another way that you can possibly help me? And all of a sudden you've then built a really good client rapport. And then you do business, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with you every year. That's marketing 101. Next slide, please. So what I encourage you to do, even if you're the receptionist for the business, please, you are a very, very valuable person in your business. Don't discount the fact that you don't have any ideas. You have more ideas probably than most others. So I guarantee, I want you to start now. Start where you are. Start with the fear, start with the pain, start with the doubt, but start with what you have and start and don't stop. You can do this. Next slide. So I reach out. If you'd like to ask questions, I certainly welcome them now. So please, any questions you may have, pop them into the chat box and I'll try to answer them for you. And if there's any part of tonight's presentation that you've enjoyed, let me know. I'd love to know. Okay, here we go. What's the best way to handle rejection when we reach out? Good one, Marlon. Yeah, no, very good point, actually. I'm glad you asked that. It's not, the example I gave you before, where I reach out to 10 people, I reach out to 10 people knowing that I'm going to get 5 rejections on average every time that I do it. So therefore, if I want to get 10 new clients across the line, I've got to reach out to so many more people, okay? Because rejection is part of life. I'm not going to appeal to everybody. I might have the best ideas. I might be one of the best marketers in Australia, but I'm not going to be the person for every single person. Some people might only want to deal with women. It might be a female product, a personal product. I'm not going to be the marketing person perhaps to help with that. So rejection, you know what? I never think of rejection as I'm going to pack my bat and ball and go home. Rejection is about moving on and making the next one a winner. And you just keep at it, because the thing is, confidence, you will build your confidence when you get your first client across the line, when you get your second client across the line, and you ultimately get your third across the line. Your confidence builds and you become better and better at it. And with your dangling the carrot and all those extra little things that you can add in, you become an expert. And that's where your company or your organization will love you for it. Okay, so what have we got next? We've got what could be the advices for anyone who's new to marketing industry? Anyone new to the marketing industry? The thing is, marketing can take on any shape or form. There's people now with social media, there's people that actually now specialize in certain areas. It might be that you coming out and starting marketing for the very first time. It might be that you want to specialize in a particular area to start with to build your confidence. But you know what? I would reach out. I would try to research. I would try to read books. I would, read audio books while you're on the train, while you're driving around. Reach out to as many people as you can. Follow them on social media. Follow the experts that you know of. What are they doing? How are they doing it? Learn. Just learn from them. I had a mentor when I first started. I was lucky enough that, I wanted to build an empire, and I couldn't do that by myself. So I engaged a mentor to help me, and I built a $2.5 million company 15, 20 years ago in 16 months because I had a mentor. I drove him nuts, literally. I rang him every single day because I wanted to learn. I had so many questions, and now I'm answering all those questions for so many other people. So the tables have turned. I'm now mentoring so many other people that are learning from me. So reach out. Another question. Marlon, you said some examples would be great too. What do you mean by that? Just let me know. Yeah, marketing materials. Recommend some marketing materials. Yeah, there's a book out there called. I'm just trying to get the title of it. Who stole the cheese? I think it's called. I haven't picked it up for a while, but one of my very favourite books. I think I've read it probably about 10 times. I haven't read it for a number of years, but look out for it. You could probably get it on an audio book. You'll have it read seriously within in probably an hour and a half. It's a very small book, and one of my all-time favourites. But marketing materials, you know what? I think if you were to follow well-known marketing people online, that would probably suffice, because there's some amazing people out there doing some amazing things. So I would urge you to follow them, see what they do, and learn from them progressively over time. How you worked around pushback? Yeah, good one, Marlon. Yeah, look, pushback. If it was a situation where I was going into a business and the business had, and I'm only making this up, if the business had what I call gatekeepers at the front, so there's a team of receptionists that will not allow you to get through, what I would do is I would try once. If I didn't succeed, then what I would do was I'd come back this next time and I would bring a little goodie bag. So I've been known to go and buy half a dozen muffins and some coffees. And what I do is I actually bring back that the second time for the receptionist, and I actually sit and just talk with the receptionist first. So in actual fact, I don't even ask to see the general manager or the director. And I get to know the receptionist because no one ever takes the time to get to know the receptionist. Get to know their name, get to know what they like, get to know where they live, what they do, what their dog's name is. Because I can tell you the next time you come in, they will welcome you and they'll put you straight through to the director, guaranteed. Do you find many business owners misunderstanding marketing? And if so, why? Yeah, totally. I find I've been doing this now for over 25 years. And generally speaking, most business owners, that's a very generalization term, but most business owners know how to run their business. They know their product or service very, very well. However, they don't know anything about marketing. So what they do is they copy off their competitors. So if you think about that, the competitors are copying off the competitors who are copying off the competitors who are copying off their competitors. So what does that tell you? It's just a merry-go-round with people not knowing exactly what they're doing and why their marketing's not working. The second part of that is you've all heard of the shiny object syndrome. When something new comes out, everyone wants to run to it, hoping that it's going to solve their problem. It's not going to solve their problem. I can guarantee it. It's better to sit down, work out a marketing plan for the future. That plan could be 6 months, it could be 12 months, it could be 5 years. If you work out a proper structure to your plan, you know you've identified your ideal client, you know where your ideal clients are, you know what the ideal client's going to spend, you know what the ideal client's problems are, you're home and hose. You get the right people in there, and that could be an absolute goldmine to your company. What are your biggest marketing challenges you have faced in your experience? Probably my biggest challenge in business so far has been about 16 years ago when I went through a marriage breakdown. I found it came as a shock to me, and it was all good one day, it was not the next. And it put me into a situation where I didn't really know where to turn. I had a thriving business. At that stage, I had about 15, 16 staff that I had to look after. And I didn't know where my future, so it was uncertainty. And like I say to people, I'm open in talking about it, that I could have sat there for 3 months and just cried in a ball in the corner. But I knew that I'd only be wasting 3 months of my life. So what I did is I just got up and I looked at my business and thought to myself, is this my passion going forward? Is it what I really wanted to do? I said no, because it was the coaching that I was really wanting to do. I had a graphic design business as well. I had the two businesses running side by side. And I decided to run with my coaching business because that was where my passion was. And I sold the design business. I had it sold within 3 days because it was so good. So that's probably been my biggest challenge, because it threw me outside of my comfort zone. I didn't know what to do, but I had to grow up really quickly and sort of work out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to take it. And from that day onwards, my coaching business has been a huge success because my passion has always been giving back to everyone. And if you've got that mindset of wanting to really be honestly giving back to people, you will always, always be successful in whatever you do, guaranteed. Um, how do I keep consistent? How do I keep up the consistency changing marketing environment? Yeah, that's a difficult one. Um, Many people call me a bit of an old horse in the marketing area at the moment. And do I know about SEO, and do I know about digital marketing, and do I know about some of those things? And the answer is no. But you know what? The thing is, if you've got a marketing brain or a marketing mindset, it's all about having the right people around you. And I believe I've got the right people around me to help me in moving forward. I've never vouched to be an expert in everything. I'm not. I know I'm not. But if I've got the right people around me, which make me successful. You've probably heard the saying, to be successful, you've got to surround yourself with other successful people because they lift you to a greater level. That's so true. So if you do that, I guarantee that you will be successful. You will find a way to be successful. But the changing environment, it doesn't necessarily scare me. I welcome new things coming into the marketing arena every day. But to keep up with the speed of it, I'd need to be working on it 24/7. I can't do that. I've got a life to live. I've got a family, and I love them dearly. And I make sure that when I get home, I switch off and be present in their world. So while I'm at work, I'm at work. While I'm at home. And I make sure that stays like that. But you know what? Young kids today, they're teaching me as well. So I didn't know anything about TikTok, but they've taught me. And you know, I've got 4 kids, and they teach me something new every day. How do I plan my day? Do I have any tips? Yeah, you know what? I've always believed get up early and tackle the day. And when you get to work, knock off the biggest problem you can first, because then that makes the day easier. A lot of people put off the hardest job to do for the day. I've never been that way. I still write myself a list, and I have a list sitting on my desk. And I always highlight and circle the biggest and the ugliest job that I need to do. The one that people never ever want to do. But I get that done first up. Just get it out. It's the phone call that you don't want to make. Get it done. And then you can rest easy for the rest of the day. How do you face your failures? Can you share any experiences? Yeah, look, when I had my design studio, I printed a calendar for a very, very large pharmacy group. And I printed the calendar. We designed it. We did a great job on it. We had it printed and we had it delivered to, I think it was something like 160 outlets in Victoria. About 2 weeks later, one of the directors rang up and said, there's a problem with the calendar. And I said, what's the problem? And he said, you printed October twice. And I thought, oh, that's not good. So what I did is I jumped on it straight away, and I had every single calendar picked up that was still in store. I asked the pharmacist to ask all their people to bring back the calendar. And what we did is we had a sticker produced, and we actually ran a little sheltered workshop at my house where I had about 20 people come over for the weekend. We put a barbecue on and we had a lot of fun. We had music going, and we all stuck stickers on for 2 days, 2 solid days. We even had the 2 directors from the pharmacy group come and share in the fun. And you know what? That weekend, we actually stuck stickers on. I think it was 2,600. I can't remember the exact figure, but it was something like that. And we packaged it all up, and then we had it delivered back to all the pharmacies on the Monday morning, new. And they were wrapped, absolutely wrapped. the fact that we'd actually taken it, admitted to the fault, and fixed it. And so that's where you can get something that goes wrong, you turn it around. A negative can always be turned into a positive if you know how to do it. There you go. So, yeah, failures, they come and go. But if you think of failures as failures, you're in the wrong mindset. Someone like Sobia would say to you, no, you've got to think positively. You can always turn a failure into a positive. And I welcome anybody that, you know, can't do that. Ring me, and please, we can have a chat about it, because it will change your life. Any other questions? No. All right. Well, last slide, please. There you go, guys. Thank you very much. And happy Hearts Day 2022. I'm so privileged to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Well, that was an amazing session, Simon. So your marketing secrets no longer will be a secret for us now. Yeah, once again, I want to thank everyone who joined with us today for the Hearts Academy Day. I hope you enjoyed this session with us. And I also want to thank the Hearts Academy who worked hard to make this event a success. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Next, I'm hoping to see you with more events.